Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is a special one. This is the first time that myself and Nico and a special guest, but myself and Nico for the first time, this is going live to Spaces as well. So, welcome to all those that are chilling out in Spaces. We are also streaming live, or Nico is streaming live from Unconfiscatable down in Vegas. I wish I could have been there for it. My sister is coming into town for an early Christmas, and I get to see her like once a year. So unfortunately, I couldn't be down there. But I'm beaming my tip signals to Nico and maybe our special guest from afar. And yeah, we're going to dive into it. Anyways, nonetheless, this is live and dual live from across the globe. So anything can happen. So I defer to my good friend Bill here.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Of course, if you have not already, please do like, subscribe, share, all those things. They help a ton. You can tap that little like button just below on the screen. You can give this a share on whatever socials you happen to be on. And of course, please do subscribe. I'm on the warpath to 100K subscribers. I hope I can pull it off by the end of 2024. So help me get there. Tap that subscribe button. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your Simply Session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Before we bring in Nico and our special guest, let's take a quick look at where we are in the market today. This is timechaincalendar.com. Also, I am bringing up the live YouTube chat over on the right-hand side of the screen. From now on, all of your comments will be shown live for the world to see, for better or worse. Anyways, back to timechaincalendar.com. We're sitting at 43,213 US dollars per coin. A single US dollar will pick you up 2,314 sats. A little bit different from last week. Less sats. Stack them all you can. In terms of fees, next block 67 sats per byte. That's come down a lot. I saw 300 and something earlier today. Holy crap. Figure out your fee situation. Figure out layer 2. I'll talk about a video I did later. Nonetheless, yes, 68 sats per byte next block, anytime 20 sats per byte. Mempool purging anything south of, we'll call it 9 or 10 sats per byte. And in terms of Bitcoin mined, 19.56 million of them, which equates to 93.16% of the total supply. Shout out to sponsors of the show, hodlhodl.com. If you're stacking sats, easy way to do so, especially if you've got certain priorities in mind, like peer-to-peer trading, instant self-custody, and no KYC. You can sign up with nothing more than an email address. Once you're in there, choose a currency, payment method, and an amount, and you can start browsing offers immediately. Links are down below for them. Of course, once you stack some sats, you're going to want to secure it with some of the best hardware on the market. Shout out to CoinKite. I love my Cold Card Mark IV. It's my go-to. I've got all their goodies like tap signers, sats cards, block clocks, and I pre-ordered the hell out of the cold card queue. I have 7 on the way. I shit you not. Nonetheless, feel free to check them out. Coinkite.com. You can use code BTC Sessions for 5% off everything in the store. Backups are important too. Shout out to Seedor, one of my favorite steel backups on the market. Disk and capsule design. They've got a full setup that allows you to set up 1 or 2 seeds, and you can check them out. Links are down below for the shipping country of your preference. Last couple shout outs here. Nunchuck for your assisted multi-sig needs. You can set up a full multi-sig vault on your mobile device with tap signers, cold cards, a ton of other hardware options. They will hold 1 key. You hold 3. They have baked-in inheritance planning, so your sats get to your next of kin. And the whole thing is no KYC, so you don't have to give up your personal information to set it up and have it work for you. And then finally, shout out to Start9, your sovereign computing solution with plug-and-play devices to run your whole Bitcoin stack and your sovereign computing needs. So this includes things like hosting Bitcoin Core, your Lightning node, mempool.space, join market, files, passwords, photos, Nostr relays and clients, and even some AI stuff as well. So check them out. They've got everything from very basic light devices to what I'm using, which is the Start9 Server Pure. So be sure to check them out. And enough of my ranting and raving here. Let's bring in our guests. We'll call it Buddy. It is good to see you from afar. Are you hearing me? And I'm coming through nice and clear.
Yo, dude, happy to be on the show, bro. And yeah, we do have a very special guest. Let's see if
happening here. I feel a pull.
It's
Oh
coming.
my
Oh,
goodness.
Let's go.
oh God.
Let's go.
Oh God. Are we
Faces are like, what are you? Dude, what are they doing?
are we tri-tipped right now? Is this?
We are.
We all coming together.
It's the trifecta, man. It's
This
here.
is the 2-month birthday of the tri-tip. I thought I'd get my bullish bits here in the frame. It's good to be here, fellas.
I'm glad to have you, man. This is we're making history here. One of these days, my anticipation is that there will be so many of us we won't be able to fit us all on a single stream.
The tips are 51%ing a Bitcoin. Ben, you're part of two attacks. You're part of the Bens and the tips, bro.
Yeah. Soon.
What's going on?
I mean, eventually you'll be part of two attacks too, because you have to change your name legally.
Is that part of the deal? Anyways.
By the way, 100K by end of 2024. Why so bearish, man?
I mean, it's hard out here for an educator. I'm not telling people how rich they're going to be every single day, although the title of today's show has to do with Adam Back calling 700K. but
That's a cop out, though. If
Yeah.
Adam Back says it, it's okay.
yeah. But like at the end of the day, when you're, people love when you tell them how rich they're going to be. People are at best lukewarm when you tell them how to take some personal responsibility. So it's a slow grind to get there, but it's going to happen. I'm confident.
I believe in you.
100%. I think it's going to happen sooner than later. If Adam Back says it, we have the get out of clickbait free card.
I think so. Well, I'm gonna bring up your I'll bring up your screen and we can dive into what's been going on. What's the drama? What's top of mind? Let me know, man.
So the monetary demons, man, the monetary demons are striking back. First, I just want to point out Elizabeth Warren's face. And that's the same face that, like, I think it was like during like the Iraq war or something, there was like some general when they got like Saddam Hussein or something, and they were like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. And then like the whole like room clapped. Yeah. She's making that same face. She's like, this is my moment. I finally won. Like, you can tell she is so happy. And what am I referring to? I'm referring to Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of like one of the largest banks, if not the largest bank in the country, basically saying the choir part out loud. Let's check out the video.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customer, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin,
so I mean,
etc.
like,
The only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years, know your customer, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, what do you like?
So Nico, when you bring in a clip that has both Elizabeth Warren and Jamie Dimon in a single scene, this is a recipe for me to get fully demonetized here, because this fucking cocksucker is such a bag of shit. I can't, like, this dude ran money for cartels and every form of money laundering in the book. He bankrolled and was more than happy to provide the utmost in banking experience for Epstein. Like, like if there is a bigger bag of shit on the planet than Jamie Dimon, I've failed to see him. But I mean, Yeah, like and for her to bring in him with the hundreds of billions in fines or whatever the number is that he has paid as basically his fee to run money for some of the worst people on the planet. Um, and she brings him as like a testimonial as to why Bitcoin is bad because it lets bad people do bad things. I like you couldn't. My jaw has dropped.
Dude, you couldn't put this together. Like, you couldn't put a better story. Like, if you were to write like a script about this, like, you couldn't put together a better like script. Like, reality is just stranger than fiction. She's so smug. She's so happy. She's taking the victory lap. We're essentially getting like lectured by, Lawrence Lepard pointed it out perfectly. It's exactly what you said, Ben. How much has JP Morgan paid in fines over the past few years? A quick Google search suggests 35 to $39 billion over the past 5 years. Pot, meat, kettle. Like, it's complete. Ben, actually, we coined this term on Simply Sessions not too long ago, the iron law of central banker and politician projection. They project onto us what it is they're guilty of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, luckily we're sophisticated and we can self-calculate and avoid this whole mess. So
I'm gonna pass it on to the third tip. What's your take on all this, Nathan?
Oh, it's just so slimy. I mean, I don't have much to add other than I just shake my tip. No. It's just unbelievable and hilarious, and her face is great. And they see the train leaving the station. They're grasping at straws, doing everything they can, but it's just pretty unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. And here is Pierre Richard doing what Pierre Richard does best. JP Morgan Chase says it's running out of branches to close. 19 Republican states accused JP Morgan of closing bank accounts and discriminating against customers due to their religious or political beliefs. Banks are closing customer accounts with little explanation. So, like, not to mention like all like the, all the political attacks, all the fact that they're, like, and in Chase, like all these banks, like, they charge you a fee if you have below a certain threshold. Like, Bitcoin doesn't punish you like that. So, like, who are these people to, basically like take this stance? And this is a great article by Blaze, and it's basically describing the series of events that have happened over the last couple of weeks or so. The name of the article for the audio listeners is How Politicians Are Using Fake News to Crack Down on Digital Currency. I'm glad someone actually like wrote about it, and it goes on to say something that we actually on Simply Sessions, Ben, we covered this before any of this news broke. And essentially the top of the article says Elizabeth Warren and her other critics seized on the October 7th Hamas attacks to crack down on Bitcoin, but the terrorists used cash, not crypto. In war, the Greek poet, I do not know how to pronounce that, Aeschylus, said the first casualty is truth. In the war between Israel and Hamas, there has been plenty of opportunities for lies to achieve political ends. In the United States, we're seeing the demonetization of and crackdown on cryptocurrencies and stablecoins like Bitcoin and Tether. U.S. Senator Warren stirred crypto skeptic politicians in Washington into a frenzy last month, alleging that Hamas funded its heinous attack on Israeli civilians with cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. This followed an initial report in the Wall Street Journal, which detailed a significant crypto funding raising operation by Hamas across various platforms. There were congressional hearings, press releases, and letters dispatched to various elements of the national security establishment into the Biden administration itself, seeking to understand Hamas' use of cryptocurrency and how it could move money undetected. Warren penned a letter with 28 other senators and 76 House members demanding answers on the alleged $130 million in crypto used by Hamas, relying on the Wall Street Journal's article, which by the way, I don't believe that was a coincidence. The only problem is that the story was false, or at least it was overblown. And Senator Cynthia Lummis came out with a great, graphic that we've been using for the past couple weeks on Simply Sessions, and essentially the graphic speaks for itself. If you have the total pie of global illicit finance, less than 1% is used for, terrorist funding and AML and all that stuff. And you connect that with what Jamie Dimon, like, if you're listening to that Jamie Dimon press conference, you're like making the assumption that, wow, like 99% of this terrorist funding must be coming from cryptocurrencies. But in reality, it's coming from the traditional financial system. It's coming from people like Jamie Dimon and the banks and all that stuff. I don't know, Ben, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like it's also dishonest. And you remember, like at this point, when Warren trots out Dimon and they're having this line of questioning, she knows full well that the initial impetus for her fear mongering has already been proven wrong by the very on-chain analytics companies that she quoted for having provided the information. Even them, they're like, no, that's not a good way to interpret what we've said at all. And like when Bitcoiners are going to bat and saying that the chain analytics companies are the good guys in the room, you know that somebody is being malicious as hell.
100%. Mr. Fast.
Yes.
That is Mr. Fast's comments. Yes.
No.
That was fast.
Hold on. I want to talk to speak on this again. 2.9 trillion illicit finance. Is that what time period is that?
It doesn't specify. I think that's just like the lot. Like I guess they put together. They did a study on how much illicit finance is happening globally. I guess on a yearly basis, and out of the 2.9 trillion, only 20 billion, according to the study, is by crypto assets.
I got it.
Insane.
That comment, yes, was very fast and was very fitting. Anyways, okay, all right. So let's move on to the other news, Ben, because there is definitely some other things happening throughout the world that were very, very interesting. Here is Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy is one of the 3 politicians in the United States that have actively supported, Bitcoin. Not to mention, of course, Ron DeSantis, and not to mention, of course, RFK Jr. Now, the reason that this is such a big deal is because, again, we talk a lot about the concept of the Overton window, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, but it's essentially the window of acceptable discussion for the mainstream normie. And when you have politicians talking about alternatives, and what RFK Jr. is saying and what Ron DeSantis is saying is extremely powerful, because both of them are saying basically CBDCs are bad, they're a scam, governments are going to use this against you. I'm going to protect Bitcoin. I'm going to protect your right to Bitcoin. And it's got to the point where in the GOP Republican debate last night between Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Vivek Ramaswamy was actually asked about crypto or Bitcoin during the stream. And there's a lot to unpack. So let's check it out. And you'll pay it, like, if you guys are paying attention, guess what they brought up? They brought up the terrorism narrative. They brought up the Hamas narrative. Even though we just debunked it, we looked at the actual numbers. They're overblowing it, but they brought that up. And take a look at how the reporter framed the question.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you've praised cryptocurrency like Bitcoin as an opt-out from our, quote, broken financial architecture, and you oppose efforts to regulate it. The head of the largest international crypto exchange just pleaded guilty to allowing his platform to launder money for terrorists, including Hamas. You say your cryptocurrency plan will, quote, ensure economic freedom for Americans, end quote. Won't it also ensure economic freedom for fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists?
Look, fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists have been defrauding people for a long time. Our regulations need to catch up with the current moment. The fact that SBF was able to do what he did at FTX shows that whatever they have as the current framework isn't working. And I think it is nothing short of embarrassing that Gary Gensler, the current leader of the SEC, in front of Congress, could not even say whether Ethereum counted as a regulated security or not. And so I think that this is just another example of the administrative state gone too far. Here's the dirty little secret in American politics today. The people who we elect to run the government are not the ones who are even actually running the government. It is the bureaucrats in those 3-letter agencies.
Yeah, damn.
Dude, I mean, like, okay, so I would have done it a little bit differently, but I get like he's on the spot. He should have just addressed it right from the very beginning that like the vast majority of, that so-called illicit finance is done through the traditional financial system. And I think that was on purpose by the journalists, again, to kind of catch him on the back foot, to kind of demonize it. But this is crazy. Like, not only do you have Javier Milei winning in Argentina, like saying things like, let's end the central bank. It looks like he's walking that back. But the Overton window is shifting, right? And I think that's what's important, especially for our cause. What's your take, Ben?
I mean, I think the most telling thing was the framing at near the end of the question itself was, she basically said, "Oh, hey, the use of this will give freedom to everybody." And then she's like, "Yeah, but won't that also mean freedom for bad people?" Well, yeah, kind of. Like rather than villainizing the medium, villainize the person that does the thing that hurts others. Like, again, you don't villainize the car when a drunk gets behind the wheel, right? Like, and so I think the framing there was just very telling of the way that they're trying to attack this thing, because they don't want people to have their own monetary freedom. They don't want people to step out from these malicious systems that bleed people dry and make them reliant on the state. They want people to stay asleep at the wheel, and they want you to feel that you need them in order to survive and enjoy any semblance of a happy life. And they want you to be afraid of the idea that, well, if you do get some freedoms, then these bad people are going to take advantage of those freedoms. So we just need to remove those freedoms altogether, and we'll take care of you. No worries.
100%. They want you to make you feel that you're dependent on them, but it's actually the private sector. It's actually the citizens that make their employment even possible. Like that's how government is supposed to be. Like, it's supposed to be done. But as long as there's this money printer, like, politicians don't need to do good by the constituents. They don't need to do good by the people that they're just supposedly representing, because they have a money printer, right? Anyways, Mr. Fast, what's your take?
Yeah, I'll take a little bit of a different angle. It makes me laugh every time he says, "I'm going to tell you a dirty little secret." He says it quite frequently. He's not a career politician, so he's coming from outside the system, which I find is interesting. But I like that he called out the administrative overreach and all the three-letter organizations, because people are waking up to the fact that we didn't elect these people, these bureaucrats. And there's a comment, it's unelected people who are making these decisions and these policies. And as you mentioned, Argentina and El Salvador, the dominoes. I mean, we wish that it would be a tidal wave of change. I know I sure do, but it takes a lot of time. And like I said, it's happening, and it's cool to experience it in real life.
I would touch tips to that.
Amen. Cheers.
Okay. All right. Clink. Oh man. Okay. So the really big news, Ben, for today is really the Adam Back absolutely just going bananas. And essentially, he dropped this. Adam Back was feeling bullish, to say the least. And he dropped this on December 3rd. The price of Bitcoin was ripping. It went from like 35K to 40. Me and you tweeted the same thing, by the way. We're just like, could this calm down a little bit? Like, please stop.
Slow down. Sats per dollar is making me sad.
It was going too fast.
It was simply too fast.
It makes me sad. Slow down a little bit.
Oh, Mr. Fast said slow down.
Slow down.
What is happening? Okay, so this is what Adam Back did, and clearly he is very excited. Digital gold Bitcoin will surely flip physical gold sooner or later, and probably this halving. So within a year or two, currently it would take 700K Bitcoin, but it may be partially a substitute. Some people start selling gold to buy Bitcoin, crossing the market cap before that. So that's incredibly bullish. And you would say, okay, maybe, maybe that is just like pure hopium. Adam Back is, clearly like he's incentivized to say that sort of thing. But you can make a case for it. And the case is this. First of all, this is the first time this has happened in Bitcoin's history. 70% of Bitcoin has been inactive. Mind you, there's a halving that's coming up. Also, you have institutional interest from the likes of BlackRock, from the likes of Fidelity, from the likes of Franklin Templeton. So you have this massive institutional interest. You have 70% of the supply being inactive. You're about to have the current Bitcoin mined get cut in half. Get cut in half in April. So it looks like you're seeing this perfect storm. And I think a lot of people were, and myself included, I was definitely on this boat, were demoralized by the last cycle. Last cycle, two things happened. It was, obviously SBF selling rehypothecated Bitcoin, paper Bitcoin, so to speak. And of course, the CCP band, which we've talked a lot about on Simply Sessions, which is just the Bitcoin hash rate completely dropped off a cliff as soon as they banned Bitcoin mining. Like there's a direct correlation between the USD price and the hash rate, right? And that essentially was miners in China selling their mining equipment to relocate to another jurisdiction. And look, that happened coincidentally in the run up of the last bull market. I think this played a major part. I don't see a lot of people talking about it, but I think we have a perfect storm in the works. And I think when the person who has been cited in the Satoshi white paper is calling for 700K Bitcoin, that isn't just some random person off the street. And I think that if you kind of dig deep a little bit, with the supply, with the halving, with the institutional interest, I know we don't speculate on Simply Sessions, but, we might have an epic, fast bull run.
There's a few things that stand out to me from the last kind of run, and the China mining ban was one of them, but I mean one of the big ones was also FTX, like both in kind of two respects. Number one is there was billions in demand there that was it was artificially met. And so like there were people like billions of dollars worth of fiat that wanted Bitcoin and thought they got Bitcoin, but effectively FTX was taking that money and not buying a single thing other than some Bahamas real estate. And so like what would have happened if all of that money was actually allocated in a way to purchase real Bitcoin? Well, it probably would have had some upward pressure on the price. Number two, on the flip side of that, the freak out and the absolute washout from the implosion of FTX, that really put a lot of pressure, I think, on a lot of miners and may have allowed us to or allowed the miners that are the most efficient to really kind of bolster their operations. The ones that were gonna fail with the halving may have actually already washed out, and so you don't have that, perhaps might not have that added selling pressure with the halving. And so I don't know. I think there's a number of things that we kind of got the worst of the worst with that, and it may kind of slingshot on the opposite side of this halving to have an effect. Like everybody's expecting diminishing returns, and maybe, but also maybe not. And I don't know where I sit with this. Like I would not be surprised either way, but Bitcoin has a way of doing the opposite of what most expect. And so like I don't know if you guys saw it, and I won't name the person, but there's a video the other day basically proclaiming this is exactly what will happen. You'll get some, we're going to get a 12 to 18 months after the halving, we will get a magnificent bull run in Bitcoin. and then it will top out, and then it will drop exactly 80% as it has always done, and that will be the thing. And I watched that video and the certainty with which it was said, and I was like, holy shit, it's the super cycle, guys.
Yeah, man. Oh man, dude, this is so fucking crazy. This is NGU, and then all the peripheral things that NGU is causing the politicians and the bankers to melt down in the process, because they can't deny, like, even like you see like the central bankers get upset about this, and they're just like, Bitcoin isn't worth anything. Well, no, it's actually the market actually currently values it at $43,244. So just because you think it's not worth anything, clearly other people don't think that. And, watching it pump, we all get wealthier. No, actually, I don't own any Bitcoin, so not me. But, and I know you don't own any Bitcoin, Ben, because you're not sophisticated enough.
Never.
Mr. Fast is definitely a giant whale, but,
I'm getting my first Bitcoin right after Simply Fast sessions by scanning this bad boy. Can I chime in here?
Yeah, of course.
So this tweet, as you guys were chatting, I had a flashback. I want to say it was maybe 3 years ago. I remember listening or watching. It was one of Sessions' mega bullish panels. I want to say there was Sailor, Hodl, Odell was on there, and I was listening, and I think they were, just lobbing out prognostications. And I remember I was on a walk, and I remember punching the air like, yeah, let's go. Somebody said 700K, and I was like, I mean, that's... And I think somebody else said, why so bearish? So it makes me uneasy. I mean, who am I to question Adam Back, cited in the white paper? But again, if everybody expects something, it'll probably go the other way. But if everybody expects it to go the other way, I mean, you don't know. All I know is that it typically takes the path of max pain. So I'm prepared, and I'm cheering along. I mean, this is, like somebody said in the comments, this is bearish compared to some of the, I mean, you got $1 Million. I saw Urian from Fidelity. He put out something even more bullish. So you don't know. I'm cheering along. I'm excited to get my first sats here in a little while, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. That was, bro, Mr. Fast. Clink.
Ben, was that a dream, or did that actually happen? That mega bullish panel, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, it happened, yeah. So that was in 2021. That was in, I think, April of 2021, and I had been off. I took a week off or a couple weeks off, and I came back, and I was like, what would be my dream panel for my return show? And I listed 5 people, and the people were Michael Saylor, Jack Mallers, Preston Pish, Jeff Booth, and American Hodl, to add some spice. And Twitter made it happen. Twitter literally made it happen. People started tweeting, and then Jeff said yes right away. Preston said yes. And then I was like, Hodl, I got 2 of these guys. He's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm in. And then the green check marks started popping up. People are like, oh, we got 3 of them. And then Mallers chimed in, and then Saylor was the last one. He's like, all right, give me a green check, I'll be there. And it was insane. And yeah, man, what an epic time.
Dude, wow. This is just a bullish episode overall. Feeling extremely bullish. Anyways, so let's I think it's important sometimes to zoom out and to talk about what's at stake here. And the way that I say it really is, Bitcoin or slavery. And I think, we kind of have to look back and give a little bit of context why this is happening on a worldwide level, why we're seeing this level of censorship, why we're seeing this level of control by governments. And I was actually listening to the Fiat Standard on the way here on audiobook, and it's extremely interesting how much fiat misaligns the incentives of society. And Jeff Booth has such a great way at pointing this out. I think I forget what podcast he went on the other day, and he was just like, yeah, like they're censoring and they're doing all of this stuff. And he says it here perfectly in this tweet, because broken money ensures the centralization of power by stealing the productivity through inflation that should flow to society in the form of lower prices. Then those enriched by the theft and subsequent power must control the messaging to keep it. And that's really important to keep in mind when you see these next couple of things, right? So here is the World Economic Forum, or I like to call it the Quintillionaire Conference, the global leader for tomorrow, on CBDC arrival. Let's hear what he or she has to say. Let's check it out.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new accounting is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well.
It's scary, man.
I mean, like from my perspective, it's obviously the CBDCs. As she's sitting on the Quintillionaire Conference panel. Okay, then this is happening in Ireland, right? And of course, it's always for the common good. Let's check out what this Irish politician had to say.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good. You will see throughout our Constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good. Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good. When you think,
like, what I gotta say about that is, like, if you read this first, and yeah, I'll pull that up, Ben. And when you read this first, it just gives such great context as to why they're doing that. And Ben shot me something.
It's a great movie, by the way. Ben, nobody's ever seen this. Go watch Hot Fuzz, because it's
great. I love that movie. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, this is what she sounds like, by the way. This is the only reason I want you to play it. Is this is what she sounds like?
Let's check it out.
Oh, come, Sergeant. You should be ashamed. Calling yourself a community that cares.
Oh, but we do care, Nicholas.
It's all about the greater good.
The greater good. How can this be for the greater good? The greater good. How can this be for the greater good? The greater good. Shut it!
What a great movie, though. It's just, they're all like killing people in the community. Like, everybody's dying. They kill anybody that disagrees. It's for the greater good.
It's for the greater good. It's for the greater good, right? But, you know, Bitcoin fixes this. I think this Jeff Booth, a message just really hits the nail on the head. And this is why we're here. This is why we're fighting. This is why we're trying to educate people. This is why Ben is using ever so sophisticated means of allowing people to take back their wealth. So yeah. Anyways, what's your take, Ben?
Yeah, man. It reminds me a lot of the Fourth Turning. That book is fantastic. And they talk a lot about as at the end of a turning, as kind of everything is imploding and people are having much less trust in their institutions. But there's also this push towards like collectivism as well, and I think we're seeing kind of like some people grasping at that collectivism and that quote unquote for the greater good kind of thing. But then we're seeing the others recognizing like, hey, we gotta get out of this. We've got to change gears, and I hope that on the other side of this, as we kind of start anew, that it's in a way that most respects individual sovereignty, and that we're all a little bit more free because of it. And so, yeah, for the love of God, keep yourself away from the CBDCs, claim your self-sovereignty, self-custody, learn the tools, and more importantly, build a community of like-minded individuals so that you can be the change that you want to see in the world.
Beautiful, 100%. And I think that's what's happening. Mr. Fast, we are getting to the 40-minute mark. Any closing thoughts?
Well said. Smash the like button for the greater good. No, that clip was awesome, but I was getting like shades of Hunger Games or like the Cantillionaire conference, like Emperor Palpatine introducing the new world order. You know, it's scary, and Bitcoin fixes this.
Yeah.
Bitcoin absolutely fixes this. All right, so should we try tip it all together?
I gotta get down to the bottom of my screen.
There we go. Oh, okay. All right. Boom.
Oh, yeah,
boom.
there we go.
Oh, that was great. That was very sophisticated. Anyways, Ben, thank you so much for having us. I'll see you next week, guys. This was your Simply Sessions.
Cheers, gentlemen. Awesome. And everybody that is still here with us, stick around. I got to fill you in on the latest and greatest in tech updates here before we round out. Thanks to Nico and to Nathan for being here. I love tri-tipping it. So let's continue on here really quick. I'll bring up my my screen here, and let's just do a quick rundown of what's been going on here. So Block and Jack Dorsey announced they've got pre-orders going in 95 plus countries for the BitKey. So this is his answer to self-custody in a manageable way. It is natively multi-sig, which is interesting. I got to hold one. I haven't yet played with it, so I haven't seen it in advance here. But it has a mobile app, a hardware device, and a set of recovery tools in case the customer loses the phone, their hardware, or both. Yeah, so this is built by Block. Their quote here: "We invite you and others, who care about financial ownership and control, to purchase the BitKey so that we can together put the keys to Bitcoin ownership in the hands of people around the world." BitKey puts 2 keys in customers' hands and 1 in the mobile app, which enables customers to make Bitcoin transactions easily on their phone, track their balance, and manage security preferences. And the second customer key is held in the hardware device, secured, stored offline. A third key is on BitKey's server and is used for only 2 things: to help customers move Bitcoin with just their phone, for transactions so they choose to make on the go without their hardware device, and to help customers recover their wallet if they lose their phone or hardware, or even both. That's interesting, even both. I'm wondering how that's going to work. But nonetheless, I've ordered one, and I will get my hands on it and, of course, make a video on it. The curious thing, though, went to order it. The thing that I was a little bit sad about, go to order, pull up my Bitcoin wallet. No option to pay in Bitcoin. What the hell is that? Come on, guys. Come on. We need to do better than that. Anyways, I'll have it soon, and video coming. So, Unchained to pause Bitcoin-backed loans to individuals. Quote: "Due to external requirements, new loan originations to individual borrowers will be paused beginning January 1st, 2024. We will continue originating new loans for legal entities such as LLCs or corporations after January 1st for businesses or investment purposes. Despite having originated thousands of customer loans and to positive feedback we've received about the service, while to this day experiencing 0 loan losses, we have significant update regarding availability of products to consumers." This means that Unchained will not be able to refinance or roll over existing loans beginning January 1st unless a refinance application is submitted by an entity, not an individual. So it seems like some sort of regulatory pressure. That's super shitty. Again, like the fact that they've offered this mechanism in which somebody can utilize their existing Bitcoin to receive a dollar loan, and it sits in a way in which it's never rehypothecated, and they've had zero losses because they hold a key, a third party holds a key, and you hold a key, and so nobody can unilaterally move it. Yeah, that's really crappy. And of course, the regulatory pressures around this. What ends up happening is the average person gets screwed out of a product that they may have found useful, and those products and services are reserved for only those that can run a regulated entity. So, way to go, US. Anyways, moving on. Bitcoin Keeper version 1.1.8, custom multi-sig, coin selection, and more. So Keeper is a multi-sig wallet with privacy and inheritance features. It's on iOS and Android. So there's a new release. And again, as I said, it incorporates some additional updates, like, again, coin selection, custom multi-sigs with various devices, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, awesome. I haven't actually played with Keeper yet. It's been on my list of things to do. I have a long list of potential tutorials. I will touch on it soon, I'm sure. Mutiny Node. Looks like they're on the road to adding pay join support, which is a form of coin join that obfuscates who the sender, receiver, and the amount sent is. Dynamic fees and Nostr wallet auth. So that's awesome. Glad to see Mutiny continuing to pump out the updates. And that's just a self-custody mobile progressive web app Lightning self-custody option, which is super awesome. So anyways, check them out if you haven't. I've done a tutorial, although they're pumping out features so fast, I'm sure it will be obsolete. My tutorial, that is, soon. Zeus 0.8.0 is here. This is the non-beta version. So if you're just in a regular app store, you can now download the new version of Zeus. This allows you to have an embedded LND node in your phone. It has their LSP with automated channel creation and everything, Zeus Pay and all of that. I've played around with it. I'll do a video soon. I love what they're doing. The one thing that I think needs a little bit of work is their Lightning address, the way it works in the back end. The fees were a little bit exorbitant when you were getting small amounts. And I get it. I think they've adjusted some of the fee structure around that. But also it was a little buggy in receiving them. So the way it works is they've got like something called Zap Locker, where you can receive payments to your Lightning address even when you're not online, and it kind of holds them in limbo in something called Zap Locker. And then when you log in, you just simply claim all of them. I found it to be a little finicky, and hopefully that will improve over time. But either way, they are making strides in how people use Lightning. So hats off to Zeus. Primal debuts on the mobile app stores, and both for iOS and Android. So Primal is a Nostr client. And the interesting thing about it is they've actually baked in a custodial Lightning wallet directly into the client, and from an Apple device, allow you to natively purchase sats on the go from the Apple Store, like as an in-app purchase, which is interesting. Now, the one thing that I found unfortunate when I was playing around with it is I could not, if I wanted to, I could not connect an external Lightning wallet if I wanted to anymore. And so you can do it, if I'm not mistaken, if you're doing it on Android, but you can't do that on iOS, is my understanding at this point. Maybe that will change. Either way, I guess it's an onboarding as an onboarding mechanism to get people to experience Zaps for the first time. Could make a compelling case for that. But of course, we know at the end of the day, you want to withdraw it to self-custody. So yeah, maybe we can encourage that. Picked myself up one of the Bitcoin only Trezors. They were a limited run. It just arrived the other day. So yeah, it's a Bitcoin only device, Trezor, and it's their new Trezor, which now has a secure element. So if you're familiar, beforehand, Trezor did not have a secure element on the device, which means that your seed could potentially be extracted from the device if somebody gained physical access. You could mitigate that risk by adding a passphrase, but nonetheless, The new device does have a secure element, and the one that I have is Bitcoin only. If you did not get one of the Bitcoin only devices that ships that way, you can also change the firmware on the device to be Bitcoin only after the fact. Either way, I'll be doing a video on it soon. So be sure to check that out when it drops. A couple more things. Thanks to the Blue Collar Bitcoin guys for having me on. I was on their show that dropped earlier this week. I actually dropped on December 2nd on the weekend. It was an absolute blast. Those guys are awesome. Had a lot of fun. There was some awkward undergarment talk. But we also talk about UTXO management, multi-sig, all kinds of stuff. So it was a really good conversation. Love chatting with those guys, and they're going to be back for the Christmas show a couple weeks here. So looking forward to that. Also, fees have been wild lately, guys. Again, just looking at it right now, I think it was not so bad when we started off the show. It was only double digits. Yeah. So we're sitting at 71 sats per byte. But earlier I saw it at 300 and so on sats per byte. That is wild. So you need to prepare yourself, and you don't need to prepare yourself. Sure, like you got to do what you got to do when shit hits the fan. But if you can preemptively get yourself set up so your day-to-day spending, so you've got a mechanism through which you can still stack sats and DCA and do all this stuff without incurring on-chain fees on the regular, you need to do that. And so, I've got more or less my flow of what I'm doing right now, and I dropped a video on it just recently, and it's just called Secrets to Buying and Spending Bitcoin with Almost No Fees. And so I'm using a combination of both Lightning Network and Liquid Network, which a lot of people are very unfamiliar with. Oddly enough, Liquid is going to be much more familiar in comparison to on-chain regular Bitcoin transactions than Lightning was for most people to grapple with. Liquid is very, very similar in the way that it works, in that you can just send to an address and off it goes. There's blocks of transactions being mined. Being mined is the same type of mechanism. There's blocks of transactions that get confirmed, but you can also secure it with hardware. It's very familiar to using regular on-chain Bitcoin. There's trade-offs with it. It's better than having it with a single exchange. It's better than having it in a custodial Lightning wallet. It is not as good as having it full self-custody on-chain. So it's somewhere in that gray area. I won't go deep into how it works, but you can check out that video, and I do describe it further in detail there. And I really encourage you to at least explore that as an option, but really start to think about, how can I efficiently use Bitcoin in a way where if fees are up, I'm not going to get pummeled on like a $50 DCA for an on-chain transaction that costs me $20. Yeah, you definitely need to check that out. And thanks to Think Orange in the comments saying that the Liquid tutorial was awesome. So I appreciate that. Anyways, last couple things. I would love you guys to help me amplify this. We've got a ton of people in the room right now, so please do. This is the Saturday. I was calling it the Saturday Sat market. We're just calling it the Saturday market now. But it is a Bitcoin-focused market promoting a local spending and a circular economy. I am launching it here in my home city of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. If you are not from here, it doesn't matter. I would still love you guys to help amplify this, because if it is successful, we hope to make a full blueprint of how we did it. And we hope to enable people from around the world to replicate it. And we also maybe potentially might like to take this thing on the road. And so if you can help this first one be a success, it would be greatly appreciated. Where can you find it? You can find it, number one, on the Orange Pill app, which helps connect you with local Bitcoiners. You can search it in the events there, but it is called the Saturday Sat Market on the Orange Pill app, and it gives all the details and everything. But you can also, if you're not yet on Orange Pill app, you can find it on meetup.com. And again, the Saturday Sat Market is what it will be listed as, and you can find it there. Basically, we got like 30 vendors so far that have all said they're going to come, and they're offering all kinds of different things for Bitcoin. And the goal was to have regular everyday things that people want and need that they can purchase with Bitcoin. This comes from almost a selfish place for myself. I earn Bitcoin. I live on Bitcoin. I use services to jump through hoops to make that possible, which I'm very thankful for. But if you can make a resilient local circular economy, then that's where Bitcoin wins. That's where you win as a Bitcoiner, because that is unshakable when you have relationships with people that you know that you can build something with and you can rely on, because they can kick in the door to a market and tell you you're not allowed to do it. But if you have relationships with people, that's the important thing. And that's what we need to build. And we're doing it. We're doing it here. So let's take the initiative. Please do share that out. I have it pinned on my Twitter as well. I've shared it to Nostra as well. I would love you guys to share it everywhere and help amplify it. If you are in the area and you want to be a merchant, we would love to have you. Please reach out to contact@btcsessions.ca. If you just want to show up, just show up. No charge to be there. No charge to be there as a merchant either. We want this first thing to be successful. So I am fronting the cost myself. Yeah, please do share it. I'm sharing it in the chat right now on YouTube. So please do give that a share on any social media that you may be on, and let other people amplify it as well. And yeah, let's make it happen, guys. Thank you so much for the support. There's been an outpouring of it, and I hope we can do this just everywhere. If there's not another SAT market in 2024, I will have failed. So let's do it. And then finally, last little thing I'm going to toss out there. Why are we bullish tomorrow? I'm very excited about this. So we've got Andre, who is putting on Bitcoin Atlantis in Madeira coming up in March. So he's going to be there. We've also got Gigi. I haven't seen Gigi on a show in a while. And so I'm very honored that he's taken the time out to come on an episode of Why Are We Bullish? What an absolute legend that guy is. 21 Lessons. If you haven't read it, it's spectacular. So anyways, Gigi's coming. And of course, Pablo as well. And he's got his hands in all kinds of things. I'll let him tell you about what he's up to in the show tomorrow. But between Andre, Gigi, and Pablo, it's going to be a good time. And I hope you can join me tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time for Why Are We Bullish? And with that, I'm going to start wrapping it up, guys. Thank you so much for joining me again. And thanks to Nathan for joining, and for Nico for, he's busy as hell down there, and he's still holding down the fort and doing it all from Unconfiscatable in Vegas. So shout out to Tone for putting that on, and everybody there. I hope you're having a great time. Anyways, to wrap up here, if you want to help the show, of course, like, subscribe, share. I'm on that warpath to 100,000 subscribers, so that's a huge help. Smash that like button down below. You can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors, Hodl Hodl, CoinKite, Seed, or Nunchuck, Start9. They're down, all down below. And finally, if you need a little bit of help, like if all the free tutorials online are not enough to get you through and you need some hand-holding, then of course, you can hit me up at my website and book me for one-on-ones there. There's a QR code on the screen right now. You can scan that and it will take you directly there. But if you're listening to this on the pod afterwards, it is just btcsessions.ca, and you'll find me there. Again, everybody in the chat, thank you guys so much for being here and for smashing that like button. I really do appreciate you guys. I appreciate the conversation. And with that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, and I'll see you guys next time for your Simply session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.